Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The name's Ben. You're probably wondering why it took me so long to make this video. Well, I didn't want to share my thoughts without having put some serious hours into the game post most recent patch. Plus, my initial reaction to the special ammo nerf was pretty negative, as I'm sure you can imagine. Didn't like it one bit. In preparation for the patch, I even reforged some of my best snipers to get that year 3 god roll. It's true. But I put some time in the crucible like an adult, and I've calmed down. So I want to encourage you guys to riot, burn some tires, protest, get maced, partake of some hood rat shenanigans. Oh, no, wait. Sorry. I meant give the game a chance, you know? It's going great. I will say this though, it is refreshing to see weapon variety in the post-mortem screen. Destiny, if you didn't know, features at least 530 different exotic and legendary weapons, of which only about 5 or 6 have been usable in the Crucible until recently. In this video, we'll be looking at some weapons from each primary weapon type that could be considered contenders for a tier 1 list, or at least may seem so, while this placebo effect we're all experiencing is still strong. Disclaimer, these weapons aren't listed in any order, and not all of them have undergone any major changes. In fact, some were left unchanged. But the fact that special ammo abundance was greatly reduced for shotguns, fusions, and snipers has made some of these weapons viable again. You'll also notice that each one excels at a certain range, and often switching from one of these combos to another can turn the game around for you. Anywho, without further ado skis, number 5. The Parthian Shot. This is the year 3 version of the Messenger. It belongs to the high impact, low fire rate category of pulse rifles. It can be obtained from the Vanguard packages and is sold by the Vanguard Quartermaster. The version you see here came with counterbalance, hand-laid stock, feeding frenzy, along with steady hand sight for a near max stability. Recently, the fire rate of this archetype was buffed, and within a huge optimal range, it'll deal 34 damage per bullet, and a whopping 102 damage per 3-round burst. It'll 2-burst anything that isn't a max armored warlock or titan. The main drawback is that its fire rate is still too slow to compete with hand cannons and other fast-firing weapons at close range, which is nearly every map. It plays best in large maps and long sightlines when coupled with sidearms like the Trespasser or Wormwood. In fact, I'd go so far as to avoid close quarter engagements altogether with this weapon. Think of it as a 3-burst heavy machine gun / sniper hybrid. If you shadow a teammate in both 6v6 playlists or 3s, this thing will steal / earn you tons of kills. If your target doesn't react immediately after taking that first hit, there is nothing that'll save them, except maybe a shade step. Number 4. The Doctrine of Passing. Obtained from the previous season of Trials of Osiris, the Doctrine has seen its fair share of nerfs. It wasn't actually altered too much in the most recent patch, save for a small buff in precision shot damage that all ARs received. But the damage boost isn't enough to make it so that you need one less shot with the weapon to secure a kill, so it isn't even worth mentioning. In fact, I don't even know why Bungie bothered at all. The only reason it made the list is because with special ammo changes, you're less likely to get your face blown off by shotgunnage. If you do not have a Doctrine, look to the Iron Banner's Unbent Tree, the only other weapon in this archetype that comes close to its magazine size and stability maximizing perks, which we should be seeing in the Iron Banner after next, I believe. Also note that you can still fall prey to a good 5-shot by a puny sidearm, so it's best paired with, you guessed it, a sidearm. You guys seeing a trend here? Number 2, but not yet. Number 3 first, idiot me. The Osiris SR4. I know what you're thinking, come on Ben, seriously? Slow fire rate scouts? Now I've been watching some of my games pre and post patch, and one thing I've noticed was a significant increase in the average range of my engagements. Pre-patch, most of my engagements were within Titan melee range. Post-patch, it's been much greater. People don't feel safe rushing as much anymore, and I feel this has opened up a window to use some of my favorite heavy hitters. I didn't believe it at first either, and I think the Osiris owes its newfound viability to 2 specific nerfs, the special ammo nerf, and the high caliber round nerf that hit all pulse rifles, like the Clever Dragon. Prior to the patch, the impact of high caliber rounds would actually cause flinch so bad that the shots from the scout would whiz directly above the target's head. Now, not so much. You can actually compete with pulse rifles at medium to long ranges, even surprisingly on some of the smaller maps. At long range, and on maps like Shores of Time, Bannerfall, and Frontier, it's almost unmatched in performance with the possible exception of an honorable mention that I'll share in a sec. So if you have one, give it a shot. And if you don't, pick up a gunsmith package and hold out for one with the Torch HS2 sight, ideal for medium engagements, hand-laid stock for that stability, and third eye. I like Third Eye on the Scout because it has a very slow ADS speed, and given its fire rate, you'll need all the head start on a gunfight you can muster. The version you see here came with triple tap, which came in handy in raids. For PvP, the only other perk I'd recommend for that slot is life support. Number 2, no land beyond. What? Oh yes, I forget. I found a reason for this. Hear me out. In a lobby filled with primary boycotting special cake farmers, there are a few things better than having a sniper equipped at all times. And while this sniper can be difficult to use, it can be mastered. I believe in this first week following the patch, the NLB along with the Icebreaker and Trespasser were the most used primaries in Trials of Osiris. The main drawback is the bolt action animation. If you're like me, you'll be a pro at doing the reload glitch when you don't need it, and also pro at choking it when you need it most. It's very annoying. I don't normally rage scream anymore from gaming, but if there's one gun that'll make me do it, it's this one. For those that don't know, you can increase the fire rate of this weapon by performing a reload animation cancel glitch, by starting the reload and sprinting forward slightly to stop it. But I'm sure most of you know this by now. Oh, and side note, I personally run this with lightweight instead of snapshot because I'm a noob, and I'd rather be able to move left and right while ADSing to line up my shots than go for quickscopes with this one, unless they're body shots. Before we hit the number 1 spot, I'd like to honorably mention that the Mightea and the Last Word are really good right now, at least within their respective optimal ranges. Number 1. Hawk Moon. Of all the weapons that were altered in the most recent patch, no category has seen as much improvement as the hand cannons in this archetype. According to the patch notes, all hand cannon initial accuracy was boosted, back to, I believe, year 1 levels, which means if you miss that initial shot within optimal range, it's because your aim was off and not RNG. Dang it. I know, right? Won't be invoking ghost bullets every 5 seconds now. My Hawk Moon's set up for max range and stability, and with 3 luck in the chamber rounds, this hand cannon is excellent at cleaning up kills at close quarters. The main drawback is that it has a slightly lower range stat than can be found on hand cannons like the AS Luna and Palindrome, which means you'll experience less aim assist and magnetism with this hand cannon outside the optimal range. It also means damage drop-off starts at a shorter distance for Hawk Moon than it does for its legendary counterparts. Still, it is a powerhouse, and I am enjoying it. What primary weapons have you been having a blast with? In the coming weeks, I'll be raiding my vault for a lot of now extinct primaries that I've held onto over the years. I'll also compile an updated top 10 list of the most OP primaries once the meta has been established. I resisted the urge to make this a top 10 list because I feel like there is another patch coming soon, probably within a month or 2 at most, because the variety of weapons we're seeing now just won't last. Don't believe me? Check out this Trials report. It's nuts. What's sad is that Bungie's response to these stats will most likely be a direct nerf to all sidearm magazine size or bloom mechanic, and a blade dancer nerf, of course, just in case. But what are your thoughts? Are you happy with these changes? I'm personally sick. Oh, Destiny 2's coming out this year? That's awesome. It's amazing. I forget what I was talking about, or what I was upset about. See what I did there? And by extension, do you see what Bungie did there? You think you slick. Anyways, another question for you. Do you see this trend of stat-based nerfing of things into oblivion continuing into Destiny 2? I personally hope not, but you never know. I'll have a pulse rifle video coming out soon because I feel that they're the least likely to change for a while. So until then, God bless and a deuces.
Yeah.